Alrighty, welcome back. Another episode of Post-Fades and Cheesesteaks, starting off our top 10. This is what the people want. It's what gets people going. The
It's my
top 10
favorite one.
players of 2024 for this upcoming season. And I think we normally start off with tight ends, if I'm not mistaken, or at least tight ends or defensive linemen, but we're gonna start with tight ends. So, but first, how you doing, Tim?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Living the life, waiting for summer. It's kind of it's popping out a little bit more. The London summers are not by the days, by the hours. You get like 2 hours of sunlight here and there. So, you take it for what it is.
Yeah, well, we're in full blown summer over here in Pennsylvania. It's fucking hot.
I see you already got some sunburn. You
Oh
already
yeah,
got the red out.
got the red out. Yeah, pretty much.
You're
I put
like the
sunscreen on too and
our
didn't really
own
help.
groundhog. Depending on when you get sunburn is whether we get 6 weeks of summer or 6 weeks of spring.
Yeah, it's the real feel I think at one point was like 96 today.
Wow.
Um, the actual temperature is like 90. So
Yeah, we're not even sniffing those numbers. I mean, I think 70s, mid 70s probably been the high.
damn.
But yeah, it's been still rainy and cloudy. I wouldn't mind a 90 day here once in a while just to get some sun.
I mean, all of our nice weather that we had, it rained during those days. So now we're typical United States, or at least East Coast, you go from winter and then like a tease of spring, but not actually spring, right into summer, and then a tease of fall right into winter. So it's really only two
Mm.
seasons.
Take what you can get, man. That's what it is nowadays. There's storms, cold, and heat. That's about it.
Sure. Anyways, so like I said, we will be doing starting off our top 10 with the tight ends. Now, tight ends are always kind of rough because it's one of the few positions I think in the league where you have like elite tight ends, and then you have like, yeah, they could start tight ends. Like the disparity is pretty big. Um,
Yeah, it's definitely a top heavy position. I mean, we always had a big three. Um, the last couple of years, whether, Waller had his moment, Andrews when he was healthy,
yeah,
Hawkinson is, slipped in, maybe put it in a little top four perspective, but it's still super top heavy. This one is actually much deeper than I remember in other previous rankings we've done now. This was like a solid top 10, I felt like. Before, yeah, you're right. I was putting some guys in there that I'm like, these, if they weren't even starting, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I knew not much about them.
yeah, I think I agree. I think that this past year we had some nicer tight end production. Um, and I feel like, I mean, like, look at the teams that were in the playoffs at the end. I mean, you had the Chiefs with Kelsey, you had Niners with Kittle, you had
Yep.
Ravens with Andrews, and
The
who else? The
Lions with
Lions had
the
Laporta. Like they all
I
had
mean,
tight ends that'll be on our list. So
he's a rookie that's definitely going to be on both of our lists. So, it's good to see the new blood come in. But yeah, this was definitely the deepest crop of tight ends we've done in the last 4 years we've done this now.
yeah, this is year four, our fourth anniversary. So
It's crazy, crazy.
what a time! I can't believe it's been 4 years.
Time
But
flies, man. Unfortunately, it's just well, two of those were COVID years, so I don't even know if those count.
that's true. I wonder if I still have like I wonder how far back it goes that I
I still
have.
got I'm a little more organized. My notes were getting out of control with these lists, so I had to put them down into years between the studs and duds and then the positions. I had to group them in there. So I still have all mine. None of them have gone away.
Oh wait, let me see. Um, I'm back to 2021. I don't have the first year. 2021. Well,
That's when we were in amateurs. Actually, to kick us off, I'm gonna kick us off with probably someone that my honorable mention.
okay.
This one is definitely very polarizing. But this one, I think he was actually drafted. I want to say was drafted the first year we did this. I could be off by a year, but I'm kicking it off with a guy who, man, if it's not this year, the word bust is going to be floating around quite a bit. And I'm
Ooh,
keeping him off the top 10 because I mean, I've never seen it. He had that big rookie year. He's awful at run blocking, but to be fair, no one thought he was a run blocker. But man, if I know he's had bad coaching, bad quarterbacks, bad offenses, But Kyle Pitts, man, he's on this
Wow.
list. He's on this list mostly. I mean, as an honorable mention, mostly off just potential and what I think he could do this year. I am
Sure.
optimistic that he could have a big year this year. But I mean, let's be honest. Like, am I wrong in saying that the chances are running out? I know he had the big rookie year, but man, he's been a ghost since then. We've like hyped him up every single year, and he has not come through.
Yeah, I mean, I so he is on my list, but I'm a little I have my reservations, just like you just said, but I don't know. The talent's there. Plus, all right, we might as well just kick it off then, because number 10 on my list is Kyle Pitts. So,
Oh, there you go.
but
Yeah. So we're in there. I mean I could have put him at 10 on my list to be honest, but I specifically wanted to keep it as an honorable mention because I like he's a one trick pony. You know, he's not much of a blocker. We knew that, but he was supposed to be a dominant and receiving force. And even if your quarterback stinks, like the whole thing was like there's going to be no linebackers or safeties that can cover you. You know, you're an inline tight end guy. Like no one will be able to cover you. And I know Arthur Smith doesn't know how to use offensive players, and Desmond Ritter's terrible. Marcus
well, he was
Mariota wasn't
fired,
very
so
good. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I'm a leaning towards more optimistic this year. But again, I feel like everyone went into each season he's been in the league thinking he was going to break out, and it never happened. He's never even sniffed it. I mean, a nice rookie year, but he's not even sniffed like a breakout season.
yeah, I mean, Atlanta has two players that could potentially be the best skill players at their position in Pitts and uh blanking on the running back's name.
Robinson.
Um, yeah, Robinson. But yeah, I like it. That's why I have him at 10. Like, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, he's got an actual quarterback now, in Kirk Cousins, and new coach. So who knows? If I was them, I would try to use him. Um, but yeah, I mean, like you said, terrible in run blocking. Um, they're probably better off trying to run block without him even being there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
20. I mean, his rookie year was, I think, 2020, and then or 21, I don't remember. But then 2022, he only had 356 yards. I think he was injured half the year. And then this past year, he only had 667 yards. So,
I mean,
and
again, if
I,
you're supposed to be a generational talents should be able to at least do something with terrible quarterbacks and coaching. You know,
yeah,
it's you've
I,
seen nothing.
I thought he was gonna finally like have that rebound season this past year. So I remember one of my leagues, I drafted Mark Andrews and then drafted Pitts like kind of later. But I was like, oh, this could be a cool, like a good 1-2 punch. And then Pitts was like ass. So, but yeah, he's at my number 10. My honorable mention, I only have one. Um, and this was hard to like write down because I've been a resident hater of this man. Never liked him on the Giants. I thought he was a huge bust. Not was. He is a bust when he was with the
Oh
Giants.
yeah.
But you know what? He's come around with the Jags, and he's been a security blanket for T-Law, and he just got a huge contract. So Evan Ingram, I hate to say it, but honorable mention. He had a good year last year. I will not deny that. So
See, I think it's almost insane that you have Ingram behind Pitts. Like they're very similar,
they are
like
very similar.
player
Yeah,
situation. First round draft picks was going to give you nothing in blocking, but really was just a receiving threat. Started out rough, but you said, I mean, I was never the biggest supporter of Ingram either, but the guy had a great year. And like
Cardinal
you said,
fans.
we haven't seen Pitts even sniff any breakout. So I'm very surprised that you would have Ingram. You must really hate the guy personally. It must
He
be
was a
personal.
giant. I mean,
Even I mean,
but
he's not even with the Giants anymore. I think we can. Well, I mean, we can pour one out. You know, for the retired guys, Darren Waller, who could only he could only survive 1 year in New York, and then ends up divorced and retired from football.
yeah,
Like,
he
what?
retired because of his star sign. Like, what
That's
the?
what happens. You spend one season with the Giants, and all hell breaks loose.
That's why Saquon left. Now he's got
Yeah,
a roster of the
that's
decade. But
see, that's the thing. We were like getting investigated for tampering when no one was tampering. It was just Saquon Barkley was desperately like probably in Howie's DMs, like, dude, please, for the love of
get
God,
me
get
the
me out of here. I
fuck
need
out
to
of
leave.
here.
I need to leave. Like
Yeah,
Waller's off the rails. The whole team's falling apart. I need to go. But
yeah, it was bad.
speaking of teams we don't like, I'm at my number 10 is actually from a team we don't like as well.
Oh,
A guy who came in Pro Bowl, came in, stepped up as that number two option on this offense. and had himself a nice year, second year in the league. I'm going with Jake Ferguson from Dallas.
Mm, I considered it. I considered it. I will give him credit if we're doing top 10 douchiest players or most punchable faces, he would be on that list for sure.
Wow, you
But
really are in a mood today, aren't you? No one's
oh, I just
safe.
can't stand him. You know what? I didn't mind what was his name? Dalton Schultz. I liked him, not liked him, but I was like, he's a good player when he was at the Cowboys. Then he went to the Texans. But man, Ferguson, oh man, I can't stand him.
I I like
He just has
I
such a
mean,
punchable face. Like,
well, besides having a punchable face, he did have 71 receptions for 761 and 5 touchdowns. He
nah,
stepped into that like they needed a second option behind Lamb, and he kind of stepped up into that role a little bit.
he did.
To be honest, I thought Schultz never did that. I think that was where the big gap was. Schultz, I thought was extremely overrated with the Cowboys. He stepped up. It was second year in the league. He played all the games. He started only 8 his first season. He made a big jump. I think he's going to keep jumping, especially if this Lamb thing doesn't go well with the Cowboys. But who knows? So he's number 10 right now.
Okay.
I think unfortunately he's probably getting better, but yeah, I think he's fine at 10.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I considered him, so he's like in that 10 to 13 range probably for me. But um, let's see. My number nine, a guy that I'm curious to see. I almost took him off the list just because of I can't believe I'm saying stacked, but how stacked this offense is now in Chicago. But Cole Kmet, I got coming in at number nine. The Bears did a lot. Like they have a pretty good wide receiver group now. They have a good group of running backs. Hopefully a good quarterback. We'll see how Caleb Williams, you know, works out. But yeah, Cole Kmet, I think, is a really solid, just your, general receiver, tight end who can still block a little bit, but he's one of those hard-nosed guys, gets his hands dirty. So I think he's a good player. I think he's deserving of a top 10 spot, but
I'm not going to argue with that. I don't have Komet on my list. He got a lot of thanks and a lot of praise. I just went with a couple guys that I've seen bigger seasons
I
from,
mean,
especially this past year.
I'm pretty sure he had a better statistical season than Ferguson. He had 73 catches, 719 yards, 6 touchdowns. So,
I mean, you're splitting hairs, but yeah, I think you might be right on that one. Either
but
or. My number 9, we're going with a young guy here, a guy who I actually really, really like, and I think
okay.
this is a big year for him. I mean, he's going to go from rookie tight end in a stacked offense as the third option to now probably the number one option in this
I
Super
think
Bowl
I know who this
contending
is.
passing offense. But I'm very high on him. He came out strong this year. He only started 11 games, but still went 600 yards, 73 receptions. You saw a lot of talent there immediately. Like the numbers weren't there already, but I think he's going to have a huge year. I'm going with Dalton Kincaid here at number 9.
Okay. Yeah,
Maybe
I
he's
had
a little
Dalton Kincaid.
high.
I had him at 8.
Yeah,
So,
maybe I'm a little high on it. Oh, well, if you had him, all right, I feel better because I did have him over Komet. But yeah, no,
yeah.
I liked him a lot watching him. I thought he was really, really good. If it wasn't for Laporta just dominating, I think the hype on him might even be a little bit higher,
hmm
especially because now he's in that number one pass catcher role with Buffalo.
I mean, Dawson Knox was a good tight end, and he might have made no, he didn't make, he was my honorable mention last year, but he just like right away supplanted Dawson Knox and just took over all his receptions. So I agree with
Yeah,
you. I think he's gonna have a breakout
towards
year,
the end of the
especially
season,
now that Diggs is
he
gone.
was, yeah, towards the end of the season, he really started coming on like that. Like you said, like he like kind of was playing second fiddle a little bit to Knox, but as the season went on, you could see that this guy can ball.
He still had almost 800 yards when they were running him and Knox, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting big things from him next year. He's my breakout. He's the guy that's going to be in, I mean, top five's tough with the way the tight end position is because it's like a
Yeah,
steel
I think the
curtain
top
up
five is
top.
pretty,
I mean, he's going
well,
to
top
sniff it.
six.
He's going to sniff it.
Yeah, but
My number 8 though, and this is where I think I don't mean to enrage you again, but um, I this is where I have your guy at. I got Evan Ingram here.
hmm. I see. I
He
remember from the conversation we had during the season that you were kind of like you liked him a little bit, but yeah, I was never a
he's
fan.
I mean, he gave you a very good season. Like
He did.
he
I will not
was
deny. I will not deny.
I mean, like first off, he's healthy now. He was never, he had injury problems with the Giants.
Sure.
He's played 17 games back-to-back seasons now, which is big. He went for nearly 1,000 yards, but he had over 100 receptions, like 114 receptions. That was like he's the safety blanket now for Trevor Lawrence. Like he's found that role. He is that pass catching tight end, like the
Yeah.
the guy that Trevor Lawrence can rely on, which I think has been really big for him, especially someone like Lawrence who's so reckless with the ball sometimes.
Yeah.
I think it's good for him to have someone that he can throw to and connect with on a steady pace. Like, I mean, just look, his second closest, like he had 143 targets this year. His second and third highest targets previous years was 115 his rookie year with the Giants. He only caught 64 of those, and
Yeah.
109 with the Giants as well, and he only caught 63 of those. Out of the 143 this year, the targets he caught 114. Like that is the percentage is there. Like he was that steady, reliable force for Lawrence. He fits in the role very nice. He developed in what everyone was waiting for. I don't think he's elite, but he had a really nice season. I think he can get even better in the role that he's in.
Okay. Like I said, I have it 11. That was an honorable mention. I, you know, shout him out, but I just never
You never
really,
know. Fair enough. Does he have
no,
a punchable face as well?
no, he's fine. Not like Ferguson. All right, number
Who's your
7.
number 7?
Um, I'm curious if this is where he is on your list or if he's not on your list. So, but I think he had a really nice year. He was showing how athletic he can be at the tight end position. And I've been a fan of his for a bit now, but he's always been kind of back and forth. But this past year he had almost 900 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, and
Oh,
81 receptions. Made the Pro Bowl, and he did it with Joe Flacco at quarterback. So I got David Njoku here from the Browns, the number 7.
funny. Great minds. There's our first connection of 2024.
Okay,
I have in the same exact spot. I agree with you there.
beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, I pretty much everything you were saying. Like you see the noticeable jump. Like he's been getting the last 3 years. He's starting to get really like more consistent and getting better and better. Plus, I mean, who knows what happens with Deshaun Watson? But the whole, I think the scandals almost have gone. It's almost out of the news headlines now. If he's
Yeah.
healthy, the offense is going to really take off if he's there and he
Well, I
doesn't
mean,
stink anymore.
this is I would say make or break for Deshaun Watson. So
Oh yeah, I mean, anything's possible now. The Broncos moved on from Russell Wilson. Anything is possible. If the
that's
Browns
true.
just want to write a check and just say no more, we've had so much bad PR, and you stink. This is not worth it anymore. I mean, who knows? But I think it was encouraging to see Njoku play so well with Flacco when Watson wasn't there either. I think that's really showing you how much of a better player he's become recently.
Yeah, and I saw he took a step to be more of a leader too. It looked like in a lot of the sideline stuff and post game, he was being more vocal when they needed someone to step in. I mean, for a tight end, he had 26 forced missed tackles. So, like I said, he's
Oh,
super
he's a
athletic.
beast.
Yeah, I'm glad he had because he's been pretty inconsistent in his year. He'll have a great season, then he'll have a down season, he'll have a good season, then a down season. So glad he got his flowers and had a good season, made the Pro Bowl. But hopefully it continues. So we'll see. Browns should
Yeah, I
be
mean,
good again. We'll
he's
see.
always. I mean, he's always been a like freak, and he's
Oh
huge.
yeah, yeah,
The broken tackles is always something he's had in his repertoire. It's the problem that he doesn't really catch the ball very well. It's
yeah.
hard to break tackles when you don't have the ball.
6'4", 246 pounds, and he's quick.
There you go. There you go.
All right, my number 6. This might be where some stirring gets done
Okay.
because I think. Well, let's just preface that you know how I feel about players coming off a rookie season.
Oh
So
wow.
I'll put them high, but I won't put them super high. I need to see it again, But like you said, I think the top end of the tight ends list is stacked. So number 6, I have Sam Laporta from the
Hmm.
Lions. Um,
I think. I mean, I'll let you continue. I mean, this isn't going to be the most egregious rookie mistake you're probably going to make this year. It is a mistake.
okay.
Now, I don't have Laporta much higher than you do.
Hmm.
I'm assuming we have one player
I
switched
almost
out with
I almost guarantee our 5 and our 6 are flopped. almost guaranteed.
Yeah, pretty much. You are just a homer. That's all it is. You're a homer.
So
You can't take your you can't take yourself out of it. I am a professional. I can take my emotions out
this
of things.
I told you my defense is that it was 1 year, and we got to see if the Lions can repeat the success they had with Jared Goff, and they have a lot of weapons to feed. So I'm curious to see if Laporta will still be get that volume of receptions. But I think he's a great player. I think 6 is fair coming off a rookie year. Um, and yeah, I do have maybe a homer pick a little higher, but I think that homer pick is established veteran at this point who is also reliable. Very similar player to Laporta, I would think. But we gave him a little edge. So
The
Laporta is
thing is,
great.
like,
He'll be in that once Kittle and Kelsey retire, it'll be Laporta and these younger tight ends will be at the top of the chain here. But 6, I think, for rookie
like
of a rookie year is good.
the six for a rookie is pretty good for you. I'm impressed that
It
he
is
even got that high.
phenomenal.
It is pretty
Sometimes I
good.
don't even put them on.
As a homer, I see, I see where you're coming from. You're just blindly picking because all you do is see green, and I get that. That's fine. But I mean, the Dallas Goedert concern has got to be real. The injuries continue to be a problem. Sam Laporta's season this year was better than any season Dallas Goedert's had. He's Goddard again missed some time, which is a concern.
All right, well, he
He
got
wasn't
folded
much of a
like an
factor.
accordion. That was a little freak
I mean,
injury,
that's
but
but you know what? For the guys like this who are constantly hurt, those aren't freak injuries. Those are just injuries.
okay.
He doesn't stay healthy enough. He's a great player, but I would actually say, I mean, I would hold back in saying that Goddard hasn't really shown us great player. I like Goddard a lot, but
I would
when we
agree.
talk about that high end tight ends, as we've mentioned before, those top three that usually are locked in every single season, Goddard's always outside of that. He's never really even thought of.
Well,
Laporta already has put his name into that conversation, I think, after 1 year.
I would agree the injury concerns, but I mean, I'm looking at 14, excuse me, 10 yards per reception for Goddard, 10.3 for Laporta. If Goddard got the amount of catches that Laporta would, then they would almost come to a pretty close even out there. But like I said, I could see Laporta being higher than Goddard next year if he continues the trajectory. But I still think
I just
Goddard's in
think
that 6. You could put him in the 6 to 4 range pretty easily, just because there's pure talent when he's on. But
I
better
think the other thing you
blocker,
have
I
to look
think, than Laporta
into
as well.
is there's two very good offenses, the Eagles and the Lions. Well, the Eagles when they're not being coached by, blinded fools. But Laporta, was like more of a driving force for the offensive success. Obviously, St. Brown was the number one, but Laporta was pretty much the go-to guy,
Well,
number two.
they didn't have Williams
Goddard,
halfway through the year either,
Goddard's
and
yeah, but Goddard's never been that guy. Even before AJ Brown and Devontae Smith got there, I know Ertz was here in his first couple of years, but Goddard was never like a run the offense through this kind of guy. Laporta towards the end of the season, they were running that offense pretty much through him. I know St. Brown was big, but if you put
sure.
all your coverage on a St. Brown towards the end of the season, Laporta was just eating. And
I would say
like
Goddard, yeah, but Goddard's value as a blocker is a little higher than Laporta's value as a blocker.
Sure, yeah. I think yeah, you're right. Goddard gets the way in the blocking. I think Laporta already shown you enough to say he's probably a better receiving option. And then you look into the durability concerns. Goddard's got some serious durability concerns, and it's been there for a while. And I know, sometimes it's bad luck, but you pretty much can pencil him in from some missed time every single season, which stinks because it's very noticeable when he gets hurt and
Yeah,
how the offense isn't necessarily the same.
I don't think you're incorrect. Just from my perspective, rookie versus a vet, and the concerns are valid. But
If
if
Dallas Goddard
Laporta
was
does the
playing
same thing
for
this year,
the
I'll put him over Goddard. Sure.
if Dallas Goddard was playing for, say, the Miami Dolphins, who would be ranked higher?
Probably Goddard if he's healthy.
Really? Okay. Well, fair enough. I'll believe that. But yeah, no, as we were saying, I have Goddard at 6, Laporta at 5, and Laporta, man, he looks like the real deal. I mean, there was a lot of hype going into the season. There was a lot of tight end hype going into this draft from the
A
rookies.
lot of
You had
tight ends drafted lately.
Yeah, Kincaid was obviously a first round pick. Michael Meyer was down with Vegas.
Oh, and Brock
Laporta, there was
Bowers.
Brock Bowers now just got drafted. But yeah, no, the tight end position is getting a renaissance. But Laporta, man, looks like an instant impact. Like he was a touchdown machine. He really like that whole offense for the Lions really took off. And I mean, he played a huge part. I mean, the rookies really, in particular, played a huge part in that renaissance the Lions had last year.
Yeah, I know. I
We'll
think
see.
the lines have been good, and that their skill players have improved drastically. They have talent at all levels, running back, tight end, receiver, and their line's gotten pretty good. So they're and reliable quarterback. So they're kicking it right now.
So one more thing
Um,
for you on Goddard, real quick, before we move on.
okay,
Goddard is 28 currently.
sure.
He's going into, I guess, his 29-year-old season.
Okay.
Have we seen his best season yet? Because I think that's the thing with Dallas
No,
is I think we've probably seen his peak. I don't really see a career year coming now
I don't.
with the injury concerns, with the way the offense is built, with so much talent around him that they kind of go through more. Like I feel like we've always Goddard's always been solid, but we've kind of always waited for a little bit more of a breakout from Dallas throughout his career.
I think it's twofold. I think one, Zach Ertz being here as long as he was, stunted a little bit of Goddard's growth in a sense that he wasn't able to get the ball as much. But I also agree with you that he hasn't really been healthy. And truth be told, I don't know if he'll ever play a full season. But I think if he played all 17 games and was getting the ball decent amount, like let's say he got Laporta receptions, like 80 receptions, I think he'd have a great year. Now but Dallas Goedert's the type of tight end, and he won't go down as anything super special in Eagles history. But he'll look back and be like he was really a good tight end for us. But I think he plays his role where either some games he's going to get one catch, 10 yards, and block, and then there's other games he might get just about 100 with like a touchdown, and the next game he'll disappear. So depends on what the offense plan is, but I don't know. We could see it. Remember, it's a whole new scheme that we're doing here, and we got Saquon now, so I don't
So am
know.
I
I don't know
getting
what's.
yes or no? Because you just told me I don't know. That is a
No,
very
I
poor
said
answer.
we have not seen the best of him, but I'm saying I don't know if we ever will, based
Fair
on
enough.
what his situation is in health. So
I think unless he has a big year and like, the next year or two, because eventually, his tenure is probably going to come to an end. I think we will be disappointed that we never really saw the breakout that I think we were all waiting for Dallas. Like if he keeps going at the
I
rate
could
he's
see it.
doing, like
Yeah.
he misses a couple games every year. He's a great blocker, but he's always going to be that third option. I feel like we always expected more from him, and he kind of never broke that ceiling.
Fair enough.
But Laporta, I think, has already shown you that he is an elite tight end who's probably going to be in this top three conversation next year.
All right. Well, moving on. I would put money on the fact that we both have the same 4 and 3, maybe in a different order, not sure. But my number 4, and speaking of Laporta, man, Detroit got really lucky that they got a replacement for this guy pretty quickly after that, head scratching trade when they sent him to
Hate
Minnesota.
that trade.
But
Hated it.
it made no sense. It made no sense.
I just don't get when bad teams trade away like good players. Like you have
Yeah.
plenty of money. Like it's not like it's a salary cap. Plus, they were like, you thought. I mean, they didn't end up drafting a new quarterback, but you had a guy that would have been there ready to roll for Jared Goff or that rookie. But you're right. I mean, they managed to replace him with Laporta, so can't argue
To be
because
to be
it's my
fair,
fourth and fifth tight end, really.
I think it worked out for the best. I think Laporta fits better with the Lions because Hawkinson was, I wouldn't say he was a bust, but he definitely was not reaching his potential with Detroit. Got a fresh start in Minnesota, and he's been pretty damn good. I think last year he just probably had some of the higher stats, almost 1,000 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns, 95 catches. Um,
I mean, even more impressive is he did that after Kirk Cousins got hurt. Like that's
yeah, he did all that in
going,
only 5 games, so he missed 2 games
that
and still had almost 1,000.
exactly. That's what I mean. Going off, not to keep going back on the Kyle Pitts thing, is like he did this even when Kirk Cousins went down. He nearly had 100 receptions and 1,000 yards. Like that is really, really like he was huge. I know
Oh
Justin
yeah,
Jefferson's there, but I mean he was the second option, and he even missed some games because he was hurt. But yeah, no, it was. I think the last 2 years. I mean, the year before he was really solid. But yeah, you're right. The first 3 years in the league, he obviously had some injury concerns, but the last two, he's been a stud.
yeah. Yeah, not much to add on him, but yeah, he's a
He's just your solid. I mean, he's living up to the top 10
typical
draft
tight
pick.
end. Typical
Yeah,
tight
he's
end.
living up to the top 10 hype you were talking about when he got drafted. And he's a hell of a blocker too. He's
Yeah, that's
he's
a
just
most of
that.
these players now are all around good tight ends. But
I
I'm assuming
mean,
you had him at 4,
I also had them before. Yeah, I had him. I gave him some consideration, a little
as
higher,
did
but
I, as did I.
I mean, it's like I said, this was the toughest tight end year. Normally, it's pretty easy, the top three, and then we just try to find out a way to fill in the next 7 spots. But
Yeah,
he's at 4. My number 3, then we're gonna go with is Mark Andrews, of course. I think you also have him.
I do.
Another guy,
I
though.
did. I did consider supplanting my number 2 guy for Andrews, but the health, make sure he's healthy.
Oh, you're
But
insane. I was thinking the other way. I was thinking about switching him and Hawkinson out. You're
No, but
insane.
yeah, I
You
have
don't
Andrews at
touch that
3.
1 or 2.
Well,
But
maybe.
yeah, I mean, he's another guy that just struggles to stay healthy. This year he got hurt again, but
Yeah.
I mean, he's the number one option on that team when he's healthy. Like it's been like that for the last 3, 4 years, at least since Lamar's been
touchdown
there. He's been the number
machine,
one. Oh yeah, the guy's a baller. I mean,
touchdown machine.
you can't, you want to say down scouting folded like accordion. Mark Andrews literally changed the rule this year. So, he just had some bad luck on his
That's
injury
true.
side. I mean, he is truly an elite. I mean, I think he was the top three, I want to say the last 2 years now for us in tight ends with the other
Um,
two locks.
Last year he was number 3. Year before that he was number. Apparently he was number 2 for me. 2022.
Yeah,
I think
but
that was the
George
year
Kittle was on a
Kittle.
down year. Yeah.
I think that he was either hurt or had a down year, and then
But I mean, yeah, Mark Andrews again was online for a very solid year this past year. I
and
mean,
then 2021 he was number 4.
he was looking at probably another 1,000 yard season. He was a huge part of that offense, especially with some
Yeah.
more weapons around him. I mean, it would have been nice to see him finish the whole season. But yeah, no, he's number 3 right now. He just needs to stay healthy. But I think he's a big gap away from number 1 and 2. I don't know what planet you're on that you even thought about moving him in the top two. I think there's a
Probably
big gap.
probably because I'm probably in the minority here. I just don't like number 2. He's plays on a team I hate, and he's just kind of he's too much for me, like energy wise, and I don't know. I think he's a little too goofy, but my number
You
2
have a lot of
is
reasons.
George Kittle, but
You've brought up a lot of reasons why you don't like people tight ends, and they
off the
seem
field.
extremely personal. Like they're extremely personal. Like these things. But yeah, my number 2. I also went with
I,
Kittle.
I
Kittle had a
like
great year.
I like that Kittle. Like I'll give him his props. I love that he is a gritty, like wants to get physical, wants to like if he's told he has to block the whole game, he's like, let's go, I'll fucking do it. Um, but I don't know. It's not his vibe is just weird. Like he's just a weird guy. Yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah, very personal. The
just never
fact that he's
liked
a
him.
weird guy almost got him in the third spot. I mean, he was first team All Pro. The guy was coming off a big season. Now, I mean, he's number 2 for me as well, but he's the best blocking tight end in the league. He really shined as a receiver. I think again, it helps with how many weapons they have around him. But I mean, the big debate comes down between him and Kelsey, and I know Kelsey's wasn't his usual amazing season. Kittle probably
Yeah.
had a better year last year, but Kelsey is just a dominant force, and they just won another Super Bowl. As soon as I see him slow down, like actually slow down, like maybe he doesn't go for 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns and 110 receptions like he does every year. Until I actually see him like slow down, and the team looks like they're slowing down, I'll start buying into it. But he looks like he's an absolute
Well,
peak form.
yeah. So my number 1 is Travis Kelsey, but I think it's funny that we all talk about and the media talked about like, wow, Travis Kelsey had a down year, this and that. Down year was 93 catches for 984 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Exactly,
Like that's
exactly.
like elite for any other tight end. So, and that was
That's
only
literally
15 games. Like, until now, he's turning 35 this year, and Kittle's think turning 30 or 31. So they're both getting there. And like we know, looking at Gronk, like the tight end position, like you get worn down. So I know Kelsey was like Travis was debating retirement like a little bit, but I don't blame him. Like that team is primed for another Super Bowl run. So I think he's got maybe I would say 2 years left, and then he'll probably retire at 37. But
At this point, I mean, he might just keep playing until the season they don't win a Super Bowl. He's like, all right, I'm good now. Like, I mean, they're going for a three-peat. He has to keep playing.
so okay, I I'm team Travis on this one. Who is the better tight end in history? Kelsey or Gronk?
Still taking Gronk.
I don't know.
Gronk gave you more as a blocker,
Sure.
and Gronk, I would say he had some bad injury luck where like if he was as healthy as Kelsey had been, his numbers would have been even better. And like I know I'm like Gronk, I wouldn't even say was like a guy who constantly got injured. The guy just like people would tee off on the guy because he was so big and the way
Yeah,
he played and he was constantly blocking. Like he played a different game than Kelsey. Like I really think
I
you would
agree.
see Travis Kelsey receiving numbers from Gronk every single season if he was healthy. And just the only years that you saw his numbers dip was because he got his back broken in half, or his arm was snapped in two because he got
Yeah.
drilled by three guys. Like, I mean, when he retired, I mean, he was even talking about like how those like Travis Kelsey plays 35, but Kelsey's never really can you think of a big shot he's taken or like a bad injury he's had? I know like I know I got on Goddard and a couple other guys about this, but they play two different games and Gronk's game's so physical and I think it's just two different strategies. Andy Reid has got that West Coast spread him out offense. Bill Belichick ran a more physical two tight end, run the ball. Number one option was Gronk in the middle kind of offense. I mean, it's close, but I think between the blocking and the fact that like Gronk would have put up Travis Kelce numbers every single year he wasn't hurt, I think goes his way.
I think I could see that argument. Um, I think Kelsey I want to say it was Derwin James, like picked him up off the ground and like body slammed him. I think that was like the hardest he's ever been hit. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if you're saying all around that Gronk gets a bonus because he was a better blocker, I could say that, sure. But I just think Trav is a better receiving threat than Gronk was. And that's not saying Gronk wasn't, because he obviously was, but I think Travis scares you more in an open field than Gronk does, because Gronk isn't really agile. He's more of like bully type of receiver, whereas Travis can bully you, but he's also super athletic and he can outrun a lot of corners and safeties.
Oh yeah,
But
he's just
I think
like
it's a
Kelsey
fair
just
whatever.
Oh, it's a good argument, and you'll still have
Yeah.
it. I think Kelsey's real talent is he just gets open better than any tight end. Like his
Hmm.
route running is great. Where Gronk was, like he just gets the ball and then he just
Gronk.
runs people over, and that was why he racked up those injuries. Like it
Yeah,
would
his route
it
running was
wasn't
not
really
phenomenal, but
he just would get the ball and just run people over, and I mean it just works so well for him. Where Kelsey's he's always open. Like he at 35 as a tight end when he's the number one option by far it's amazing. Like it really is amazing how open that guy always gets. It's insane. I know Mahomes is great and he's accurate, but Kelsey's always open.
yeah, yeah. But so
One of
we had
so
five players that were the same ranking. I feel like
we're
tight ends are usually like
tight ends.
that, but
Yeah, this is what we always do. I would say one other thing when we said on Kelsey, you were mentioning like his worst season was this year. He had an identical numbers to our number four tight end TJ Hawkinson, who just had his best year, his best season of his entire career. That
yeah,
tells you exactly what you want to hear. So I know George Kittle had a great season, but let's not get a little all tizzied. Travis Kelsey,
busy.
his down year was 1,000 and nearly 100 receptions. Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
let's
still
calm down.
just because it wasn't 1,500 yards and 110 reception and all that doesn't mean it was a bad year.
Right. No, I agree. So, All right. Well, that will conclude our top 10 tight ends. Yeah, I think usually pretty simple list, but was a little more involved this time around. But that's our wrap on our first top 10.
There we go. We're getting there. You know
All
what? We
right.
do the top 10. That's the official kickoff, I feel like, to football. Like now we're in
Hey, I
training
mean,
camp.
basketball just ended because the Mavericks decided not to show up for the NBA Finals.
It was,
NHL,
they were never going to win.
the Oilers are coming back. They were down 3-0. Last I saw was 3-2 now.
Eyebrows up. Yeah, eyebrows up now. I'm
And
interested.
then baseball, Phillies are kicking ass.
Phillies are great.
So, but that means once NBA and NHL, and that means
But this
stiffen
is,
the football season.
I know, but this is the worst part of the football season. This is contract holdouts. This is unfollowing people or teams on Instagram, and this is overthink analysis to everything. I had
Honestly,
so WIP morning
ahead.
show was over when the Phillies were here, and I love WIP. I was like reliving a childhood fantasy, seeing them in person and doing the show. But man, they were talking about the Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts press conference or whatever. I didn't even know what actually went down, but they were talking about the answer Jalen Hurts gave and Nick
Everyone's blowing it
Sirianni.
up.
So I know, I was like, oh boy, this is where we are. And I mean, hats off to them because they made it sound exciting. And you know, sports talk radio is really tough when there's nothing going on. But I was like, geez, I really can't wait for NFL. I hate that this is the topic of conversation, but exactly what you said. So we're starting our top tens. That means we're getting even closer. Cool.
All right.
Well, until next time.
Peace.